G'day everybody, it's Mitch here from Board Game Barbecue. Just here today to talk about a new game, Patriot. This game here is currently on Kickstarter. I believe it will be on Kickstarter for a little while yet. I think start of November sometime it will come off Kickstarter. We've been given a prototype copy, so everything you'll see in this video is a prototype and could change once the Kickstarter fulfills. So Patriot is it's a hidden roll / deduction game where you are trying to protect the president if you're on the good side, or trying to assassinate the president if you're on the bad side. It also combines resource management and action selection, so there's a little bit more going on than what you would expect in your normal social deduction sort of hidden roll game. At the start of the game, you each choose a character. Those characters have different abilities and different powers. So in the multiplayer game, you have an objective that's assigned by letters that the president turns over, and those objectives you need to achieve by the end of the turns in order to have a good outcome. If you don't achieve them, then you will have a bad outcome and some negative things will happen. There are three main tracks in the game that you're following. One's the treasury, which is how much money that you'll get at the start of each round in order to contribute to other events. One is the civil unrest track, which is essentially the indication of how upset the population are with the government, and if that gets too high, then riots will occur. When riots occur, rioters will come out on the board and they block certain spaces, actions for you to choose from, so it makes it very difficult when you start getting a lot of rioters on the board. And the third track is a threat track. Threat track is indicating how much threat the president's life is under. And if that track ever gets all the way to the top, then you will lose the game, the president will lose the game, and the assassins or the rioters will win. Along with that, you have to contribute resources every round to these letters in order to achieve them. But if you're not allied with the president, if you're an assassin or you're trying to take the president out, then you can actually contribute in a negative way to those outcomes to make it more difficult for the president and his allies to achieve those goals. In addition to that, you also have to turn over a brief card at the end of everybody's turn and achieve the outcomes of the brief card. Success will result in good things happening. Usually in the middle, it'll be a non-event, there's nothing happening, and if you don't score high enough, there will be negative outcomes to that. They can be things such as the threat track rising, the civil unrest track rising, or riots occurring. So those are all the things that you're sort of dealing with in the game. And how do you deal with those things? Well, there are different action spaces that you can choose from to go on. When you choose your players at the start of the game, each of them have different powers and different abilities that you can use, and they also have action points. So on your turn, you'll spend those action points to do certain things. They may reduce the civil unrest track. They may get you more money to spend on other actions, because some of the actions will cost action points and money. So there's these different departments. There's a cool department which you can send beacons up, and what that ultimately does is when you launch a beacon, it creates another action space that will give you the ability to use that action space to get whatever rewards are available there. So you can actually open up more action spaces to help you achieve the goals as you go along. So we taught this game at PAX on the weekend. We did some demos with some people and the feedback was really good. I got a lot of the feeling like it sits right alongside your Battlestar Galacticas or your Unfathomable in terms of having the hidden roles and the secret traders that are amongst you whilst you're playing. They also have a mid-game allocation of alliance cards, which can actually change your alliances depending on which ones you get. So you may play the first half of the game allied with the president, and then when you receive your cards mid-game, you suddenly switch. So there is a little bit of thinking on your feet. Maybe people will change their alliances, so someone you thought was good, maybe they're bad now, and maybe their behaviours are changing as well. So that creates a good twist in the game. You can also assassinate other players. If you think someone is bad and is not working with you on your team, then you can go to an action space that will allow you to call an assassination on that player. it would still need to pass, so everybody needs to contribute resources to see if it's a success or a failure. It's not easy to assassinate people, but if it did get passed, then the players aren't eliminated. There's other things that they can continue to do during the game as well. So there's no player elimination in the game. You're not going to sit out and not be able to play anymore or anything like that. Interesting thing about this particular game, I noticed that it does play from 1 to 6 players. Now, as a big solo gamer myself, I thought, how is that going to work? How does this hidden role, allegiance thing, trader mechanic play out as a solo game? So I've actually played the solo game myself, and it is significantly different. You don't have alliances, you don't have allegiances, you don't have secret roles and hidden traders. But what you do have is this campaign mode that the game plays whether you're playing 1 or 2 players. And ultimately what you're doing in that game is you're doing a lot of the same things in terms of taking these actions to achieve certain outcomes, but you're playing against a campaign objective. So there's a campaign objective that you need to achieve within a certain amount of time in order to be successful. And at the end of each turn, there's a mechanic with the where the usual letter objectives would be that makes you deal with positive or negative outcomes depending on how successful you've been on your turn. So that campaign kind of acts as the negative factor in the game because there are no negative people working against you. So I found it works pretty well. It's, as I said, if you're hoping that it's going to be exactly the same experience in solo, it's not. It's a little different, but it's still enjoyable. So there is that. One facet to the voting that I thought was really, really good, where you contribute your resources to the outcomes of the events, was there's a public opinion deck. Whenever there's a vote, you need to take 2 cards from the public opinion deck in secret and shuffle them into the cards that everybody else has provided. So it does 2 things. It creates uncertainty about what's been played into the vote. But it also gives, for me, thematically, it throws into the vote, the uncertainty of what the public feels at that particular time, rather than just the people that are close to the president that are having those votes. So I thought that was a good little addition to it as well. So that's the game. As I said, if you're into games like Battlestar Galactica, Unfathomable, Dead of Winter, any games that have those secret mechanics, I think this is going to really hit for you. As I said, the guys that trialled this game out at PAX enjoyed it. We had a great time. Check it out if you get a chance. It's on Kickstarter right now. And if it sounds like something that's up your alley, then have a look. Thanks for watching today. In case you're not aware, the Board Game Barbecue is a podcast and a Facebook community and a Discord community. We run game days in the 3 major cities on the east coast of Australia, be it Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon. Cheers.